Right, so what I've done just now is I've started calculator, I've taken out the bits and bobs that shouldn't be there. I have put in the main bit of the programme so that we can just run it using the one click once we get into that bit. I have called the procedure that I'm going to use for my algorithm process graphic, so I know that I need to have that in. But what we're going to do just now is just bring across, here's the BMI program, and I'm going to bring across my import lines, just a quick copy and paste. And the only variable that we've got in the calculator, according to our data dictionary, is the one for our array. So inside my public class calculator, I'm going to set up my array. Remember, all of our variables are private. So remember to put the square brackets at the end so that it knows that it is in fact an array. I'm going to come down and I'm going to initialize my array. Now I'm just going to look at my BMI program just to make sure that I get it right. So here's the code down here for initializing. So just go in and type it in. So it's a graphic equals new, well, and I need 5 of them. And then come under, because you've got the array, you need to go through each of them and run the constructor, which is why we need this part here for in I equals 0, well I is less than 5, I plus plus, you must have heard me say that a million times by now. And inside here I have to run the constructor. So my A graphic at index I, new, and then graphic, so that'll run the constructor for me. So that wee bit of code there just sets up my 5 graphics. My other class sets it up perfect. Now I could at this point go and bring in my file handling stuff, but I don't want to do that yet because I've not started that method, so I'm going to leave that just now. But what I'm going to do is create this one called the process graphic. And the reason we're creating that is because that is my top level algorithm. So I'm just going to do public void process graphic. And I will need to have a throws input output exception because of course we know we're going to have file handling in it. So at this point I should be able to go to compile, and hopefully I've not made any stupid mistakes, and I haven't. Right, so to create my process graphic, my main bit here, what I need to do is go and get my top level algorithm. So here it is in here. So what I'm going to do is dead simple, I'm just going to copy this here and bring it over. And again, this is going to become my comment lines. Now, my initialize variables, we don't have that in here. In some programming languages you would write a method to do that. We've already initialized our variables. You have to do it in Java, and you have to do it up here, which is our constructor method, and that's why you need to call that one over there, is to initialize your variables. So we don't have to worry about number 1. I'm going to go up and just align that up. You guys know what I'm like, okay? It drives me insane when it's not aligned. So each one of these we need a method name for, except of course for number 3, because that's just a repeat, and we don't need it for end repeat because that's just a wee squiggly line. Everything else we need a method name. So load data. So really simple, I'm just going to call this read data. So I'm going to have a method called read data. My repeat line, well, repeat for each graphic, I've got 5 graphics, so that means it's a fixed loop. So I'm just going to copy and put that one down here. By the way, I'm also loving the way my voice is starting to sound. So that's me done my repeat. Calculate file size, well, I'm going to call it calc file size. and I'm going to come back to that in a wee second. My end repeat, I've got my squiggly line, and then scrolling down I've got find biggest file. Well, I'm going to call that find max file, and then find smallest file, I'm going to call it find min file, and I'm going to do close. Now at this point, again, I'm just going to straighten it up and I'm going to run it because I want to show you the error that we're going to get. And you need to get used to these errors. So it's going to say, look, cannot find the method. That's because it doesn't exist yet. So what we need to do is we need to say, right, okay, so read data. Is read data going to be for all of the graphics, or is it just for one? Well, it's for all the graphics, and because it's for all the graphics, it needs to be in the calculator. So come down underneath and do public voids read data. Right, the next one, ignore my for, come down to number 4, calc file size. Can you do that for all the graphics, or do you have to do it for each and every individual graphic? Well, I need to do it for each and every individual graphic, one at a time. That's why it's inside the loop. So that method needs to be in the graphic. So I say a graphic, go to the array, and the position I want you to go to is position I, because it'll start off at 0, then it'll go to 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll work its way through them all. Now if I've followed my normal naming conventions when I created graphic, I've got a file in there called that. So I'm going to scoot down, there's my read data, underneath I've got find max file. Well, to find the maximum file you have to do that, you don't do that for each of the graphics, you have to use all of them. So that's in here, and so is the find min file. So I just do public void find max file, begin ends, and public void find min file. And I've noticed I've spelt that wrong up the top, but I'll go and get it just now. Called it filer. Now this should now compile because they're created, and it's compiled. So clearly the naming convention, I've stuck to my normal naming convention. So that's me, my program is just about set up for me to start coding.